Hello? Ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me? Hey, there we go! Strange things are afoot in the land of audio-video. Hey! Welcome to chat, everyone! There are so many new chatters. That's wonderful. Strange things are straight up afoot. Hi, you got my coat. Welcome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, friends and enemies, I have a bagel, I have some coffee. We're gonna podcast for a little bit, wait for people to file in. Audio jungle. Audio jungle. Straight up, it's time to unleash creatures upon me? Now, why would you do that? These streams are going to get me to start playing Warframe. Do it! It's the most ethical MMO. Streams did make you start Warframe? That's wonderful! It's a really fun game. It stands out among a lot of, like, modern looter shooters for just being weird and new. Like, it's so different than every other game that I've been playing recently. What they won't tell you about Warframe is that it's actually a puzzle game. Like, Warframe's actual gameplay is basically it's like a settlement management game with schmovement. Like, clicking on dudes' heads is actually not the main thing. It's actually, like, figuring out how to construct a warframe so that you can room nuke more efficiently. What the fuck even is this game? Yes, the Atomicycle is so good. The fact that you can spawn it in other missions, and that was a glitch, but they just kept it because it's badass, like, that perfectly describes Warframe's, like, build ethos. Seen people compare it to Destiny? No, it's literally, like, better Destiny. It has, like, better lore, the gameplay's more fun, although Destiny does have better PvP. Zoran coptering was a glitch and we got bullet jumping out of it? That's so cool! And now we even have Zoran Prime. Watched the Hermeticism VOD earlier today and it did involve a lot of spinning motions. Yup. PvP, grow up. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Crass, banned, forever. Eliminated from orbit. Nothing in Warframe has given me the raid dungeon experience that Destiny has. I mean, Chimera, be honest with yourself. When was the last time that Destiny gave you that raid dungeon experience? You want to go struggle through Vault of Glass again? Is that what you want to do? I have an eternal grudge against Destiny 2 for deleting the story gameplay and expansion pack stuff I bought. Yup. I couldn't parse what was going on, but that made it easy to focus on the wizard facts while the spinning and numbers happened. Yup. That's exactly why I picked Warframe. It's the ideal game to just, like, play in the background while you talk about other shit with your friends. Trying so hard to get aforementioned friend into Warframe. She's bounced off of it before, though. Yeah, I get it. CT, what is the song you sing when you get separated from everyone in the Lethal Company VOD streams? There's a couple. I usually sing mid 1800s sea shanties. Which is the I don't know which one you're talking about. Tis a damn tough life, full of toil and strife, we whaler men undergo. And we don't give a damn when the day is done, how hard the winds did blow. 6 hellish months we've passed away on the cold Kamchatka Sea. But now we're bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to Old Maui. That's it, it's Old Maui. That's my favorite sea shanty. Thought they were Latin or something. I actually don't know any Latin songs. I should. Favorite sea shanty is Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield. Kind of real. Did you like Warframe's in-universe sea shanty? I did, actually. I thought that was a pleasant surprise during Sevagoth's quest. What got you into sea shanties? I was actually into fucking sea shanties before it became like a huge meme. Thank you very much. I was into sea shanties before, like, 5 or 6 years before the rest of the fucking internet discovered it and then subsequently decided that it's all fucking soy. I started the meme, exactly. I am a sea shanty hipster, and I'm proud. No, I got into... Because I was into fucking... When I was in middle school, I fell down a weird rabbit hole of Canadian, like, local punk bands. And one of them is the fucking Dreadnoughts, who have all these early albums where they did, like, weird polka punk covers of, like, sea shanties and, like, World War I era army marching songs. And I thought that shit ruled. And it kind of did. Because, like, 4 or 5 years later, everyone else on the internet is like, wait, this actually kind of rules. Let's sing The Wellerman Comes. But they didn't know shit about, like, polkas. Yeah, my name was Whaler on Steam for a while, and so my name in a lot of games is still Whaler. I know how to scrimshaw. I got it, like, literally, like, several years before the sea shanty thing. I learned about scrimshaw because I got interested in, like, historical sea shanties and shit, and I started, like... Turns out you can order elk bone blanks, like, just off the internet for, like, $4. And so I have a bunch of, like... really, really shitty practice scrimshaw just, like, sitting around somewhere. I forget where it is. Used to grow up in a sailing town, sailed some in middle and high school. I've only been on a boat, like, once. I'm kind of a poser for the sea shanty community, honestly. I encountered them, I assume, normal universe method of playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I actually didn't, like, I played Assassin's Creed 3, and that was kind of my exit from the series. I heard that, like, Black Flag was really good. I think I played it a little bit, but I didn't finish it. Oh, you're a sea shanty fan? Name one boat. Schooner? Being both a hipster and a poser for the same topic is deeply funny. I mean, that's kind of everything. That's like being interested in anything. You're never going to be an expert, but you're also never going to be a normie. Black Flag was a great pirate game, really phoning in being an Assassin's game. Honestly, yeah, like, it's just the best pirate game. When was the sea shanty rage? That was like 2014-ish. Like a little after, maybe. It was like 2016. It was definitely like when Black Flag came out. And then there was like a 18-month lag period, and then it hit TikTok. I got into them a few months before working on a historical ship for 2 weeks. See, that's like real shit. That's like you're a sea shanty OG. I'm a poser compared to you, right? Ubisoft desperately wanted to do their boat mechanics but wasn't confident starting a new series. Yeah, I can see it. Hi. Oh my gosh, everyone, it's celebrity model Bella Hadid. Hi. Yes, by the way, you can use command !Discord to go check out the Discord. Ugh. The Assassin's Creed series is so weird. I do remember, like, getting an Xbox 360 and playing the original AC2 and having, like, a blast. I wonder how well that game is aged, you know? Yeah, we got Duende, we got White Pharaoh. Just check out the Discord, we got all that shit. CT is short for sea shanty. Yup. What's Duende? Well, check out the Discord, find out, my friend. The knowledge is at your fingertips. Played it a year ago and it's still pretty good? Well, that's good to know. Hey, Dot. Yeah, you gotta be 18 plus and you gotta be nice, alright? I know that people post Real Goblin on video, guys. I don't know why they do that. Because it's fun. Or are you talking about, like, in general, or just the Discord? Never made contact with Assassin's Creed because I only had a Wii. There was a DS game tie-in Assassin's Creed game, and it was awful. It was truly awful. I played, like, 40 minutes of it, and it was complete slop. I think the Discord invite expired. Oh, dear. I keep trying to choose links that don't expire. I don't know how to edit the chat command from here, so... I know there's a link on my blog in my pinned post if you want to jump over to Tumblr to check that shit out, but if you can't, it's no trouble. DS and 3DS ports of console games are just all bad. It wasn't even a port. It was an original game. I have a theory that it was like... I think... I think the Assassin's Creed DS game was one of those games that it's like... It was like a third-party developer that had a game mostly ready to go mechanically, and then they just kind of reskinned it at the last point, because the DS game is like a weird, like, top-down 3D platformer. It's one of the jankiest things I've ever played. I find it fascinating seeing r/Warframe debating the necessity of invulnerability, meanwhile barely ever get close to dying so far in Warframe. It becomes like knowing how to trigger temporary invulnerability frames becomes really important in like Steel Path. It's fun. Steel Path is kind of when Warframe changes genre into like a puzzle game. Just use Dante in 224. Yeah, there's a lot of frames like that where they have like a very solid loop. For non-Steel Path stuff, how much do you have to optimize? Honestly, not much. Like, I wouldn't... unless you're like really, really struggling on a mission, just like, you know, try to max out like 1 frame. Like try to play around, like fully upgrade your mods, add forma, all that stuff. Try to max out at least 1 frame. One of my friends compared high-level Warframe to Balatro. That's kind of true, although it's not a roguelike. It's very much about like, oh man, the way that arranging mods on a frame works is very similar to like setting up jokers in Balatro. You're at the hundreds now and it starts getting hard, but I also solo a lot. Yeah, that's definitely going to be a little harder. There is a roguelike in Duviri, but it's like you barely have to pay attention in Duviri most of the time. For a brief, sterling moment, the only multiplayer game I could play was a DSi Splinter Cells. It had a PvP mode. You know what? Okay, for the DS, there was like a PvP Metroid shooter game, and it was really fucking fun. Metroid Hunters had, like, you could play with other people over Wi-Fi, and it was like playing Doom again. Like, the fact that Nintendo didn't jump on that shit is crazy to me, because Metroid Prime Hunters was so much fun. Hi, Charlotte. Welcome to chat. Wizard time. Remember Metroid fans being pissed about it? Metroid fans don't know what they want. They just want, like, Metroid Prime for the GameCube again, but with better controls. Look at all the Tumblr celebrities we have in chat, huh? I do remember Prime Hunters. I recall being enthralled by the character designs of the different characters. Yeah, they were, like, weird in a very evocative and interesting way. I like that. Don't call you a celebrity, but you're the author of the famous how did your uncle stepping on a landmine save our country post. Do you mind if we send you a friend request on Warframe or no? No, don't do that. Hi, Meepo Greasehead. Welcome to chat. CT in some part because your streams, and the other part because friends are getting back into it. I finally played Warframe. Getting to actually bullet jump myself, I feel like I'm there. There's no way to pitch Warframe that gets close to how awesome... It is a schmovement game. It's a... Hey, Frankie. No, it's a schmovement game. It's a wonderful schmovement game. And there are schmovement frames, like fucking Zephyr and Neza. Sim Animals Africa for the DS. Nah, not about that. The demo for Hunters was really good. I didn't play it. I played the whole game. Built your railjack today. There you go. You've unlocked the fucking ship combat mode. It only takes 40 hours into the game to unlock. Okay, yeah, but, like, Goss literally has an ability that's, like, weaponized bonking. Like, you just launch yourself into a wall as fast as possible, and it deals a lot of damage. I tried, like... Kid Icarus Uprising was one of those games that came out, like, right as I was done kind of playing DS games. Like, it was, like, very at the end of my attention and life cycle for the DS. So I own it. I never really played it, though. I do like how the devs solved Goss being too fast to avoid running into walls by making him running into walls good. Exactly! It's like weaponized bonking. Uprising is the best 3DS game by far. I've heard that. I love and hate that New War drops stealth mechanics back into the game. Like, stealth mechanics are barely in this game. You started playing Warframe on a controller. I can see how it would be better moving to mouse and keyboard. It is a very mouse and keyboard-ass game. The game's tagline was ninjas play free? I mean, things are still ninjas, but it's like, it's a different game. Stealth mechanics are there for like 2 frames. Yeah, it's like, if you want to have stealth mechanics, you just play Loki or Limbo. We're not doing ninja shit in 1999. See, you say that, but then you bullet jump everywhere. That's kind of what I mean. Is Ash still sad? I haven't really played Ash. Ever looked at early Warframe? I haven't really. But Ash got a rework, but is busted in a bad way. CT, why is one of your tags belly profit? Listen back to the old streams. We already talked about the Angastromorphoi. They're in the Bible. Early Warframe looked dire. Early Warframe was a tech demo. Struggling to understand why 1999 works so well. I understand why it works with Warframe so well. Because it's like... Warframe has... It has like a Doctor Who level built out universe, so you can kind of do whatever in it. Like, there's already a giant, like, in-game faction that are essentially, like, living, synthetic, biologically adapting, like, terraforming probes. It's playing on its own history. It's kind of a hidden sequel to Dark Sector. Yeah, yeah. Doctor Who in the sense that essentially any story can be told within the universe and it'll still fit. Yeah, yeah, except it doesn't have, like, literally our timeline. Just deeply refreshing to befriend NPCs and get to body fascists. And the fascists are like barely fascists. They're like cartoons. I think Warframe is kind of at its best when the villains are a little weird and silly. Closed beta still had some of the funniest stuff, like all mods being ribbons and not letting you get a 4th ability without a potato. Wow! Tube men. Warframe is unrepentantly sincere. I think that's definitely part of it, in my opinion. Welcome to chat, Spaghetti Movements. That's an excellent name. Vayhek wouldn't be half as fun if he wasn't an angry head. Vayhek is like, in my opinion, Vayhek is what makes Warframe good. Like, I think once they figured out what to do with Vayhek, that's kind of when they figured out how Warframe's writing should be. Look, brothers! No, because he clearly started out as like I've made a Tumblr post about this before, but he clearly started off as these are the Grineer, they're space orcs. And this is Vehek. He's like a screaming cartoon villain space orc. And then as they, like, built out and developed the Grineer into, like, they were, like, a genetically grown slave race that are, like, still trying to figure out what it means to, like, exist in the world. And everyone fucking hates them because they were the foot soldiers of the old war. But they still do a lot of, like, pillaging and destruction. But then Vehek is still there, right? And they've just... Like, all the other Grineer counselors are, like, well-built and interesting and written a lot more deeply. But Vehek is still there. And so they're like, oh, no. He's in universe. Like, he's just like that. So they're like... You can see the other Grineer counselors, like, sitting around at a table, like, talking about their war plans. And then Vehek is also there, and he's like... Tenno scum! My ghouls! And they have to put up with him because he's a well-liked politician. He's like a very popular politician who's clearly like putting on airs for popular support. If I was a Grineer, I'd vote for Vehek, exactly. Umbra's storyline is so good. Have you played the new event? He has some fun lines. Yes. All right. I've been crafting in the off-season. We're just going to do some grinding. I bought some shit from Barrow-Katir this morning. We're just going to head to Eris. Talk about shit. Nice shoulder pads. Alright, so if you've been present for the last couple streams, you know that we've been talking about Greco-Roman magic, right? We talked about fucking Plato, we talked about Aristotle, we talked about Plotinus, we talked about the Gnostics and early heresiology in Christianity, and we talked about what it was like on the ground. And part of the initial reason that I started doing these streams is because it's helpful for me to talk about the stuff I'm reading, kind of organize it and present it to people. And I'm getting to the point in this chunk of the book, if you're part of the Patreon, where I've kind of gotten a solid base of how to present all this stuff to people, right? A page on this, a page on that, trying not to overload people, but also point them in the right direction, right? So I've been thinking a lot about, like, exactly what it means to explain this stuff to people. Because the things that gave me the most trouble were probably Greco-Roman magic in general and Gnosticism. Partially because both of them are so diffuse, and there's no agreement on what exactly they mean. That's a very difficult thing to write about.
Extraction is ready. Unless you can handle more.
Fucking leaving already? Come on.
We're done here. The extraction team will take over from here. Time to evacuate.
Alright, damn. Alright, I need plastids. So, I don't really have any specific plans, but it's been nice to, like, kind of concretize all of this stuff in my head, you know? I don't know. Is there anything that you guys still have questions on? Like, being able to respond to questions is always a good way to kind of get my mind started. Because that really is one of the trouble with, like, the most diffuse topics, is that there really is no definitive starting point. Like, if you're going to talk about Western esotericism in general, you just, like, oh yeah, you just fucking start with Plato. Easy. But it's, when you're talking about something as complex as, like, oh yeah, from the years, like, 700 BC to, like, 300 AD, people did magic in the Hellenic world and Roman world. Like, what was it? Does the PGM go in this section? Yes, I will have some PGM shit in here. I will need to include that. Thoughts on modern philosophy? What, like all of it? Did any of the other major Roman philosophers have much influence on esotericism? Oh, yeah, fucking... Oh, you mean like Stoicism and Epicureanism? Oh... Like... Yes, definitely. But, like, nothing close to what fucking the Academy did. Like, nothing close to what fucking Plotinus did. Heard about talismans, but I'll defer to anyone with a more pointed question. Well, talismans can mean a lot of things. Like, talisman is one of those terms that doesn't really have any academic definition, so every text that you read about them has to define it for themselves. And it really just means, like, any object that is supposed to give you a magical ability. Be it, like, it can be a ring or an amulet or just, like, a carving of something. But most oftentimes it's like, okay, what do you think of when you think of a talisman, right? You usually think of like a little object with a symbol on it or a couple symbols on it that you wear around your neck as a necklace. But there's actually more specific terms for those. Like that can be a, oh god damn it. There's like a complicated term that has like a weird Hebrew etymology that everyone disagrees about. It's in the Emerald Tablet. Got here last stream, so unfortunately got nothing. No, it's whatever. But like, it'll come to me later, and I'll scream it into the mic like a gibbon. Kamea, yeah, that's the one. Kamea or Gamea or whatever. Like that was another like really common term, or Kimea, or lamella. That was another one. Usually referring to, like, a very thin piece of laminated metal with writing on it. Like, writing stamped into it that you wore around your neck as a protective talisman or something. Ghost of Christmas Future? What is that? Is that the etymological root of cameo? I don't know, you are poisoned. I literally don't know. Like, there's a lot of people who write about the fucking Emerald Tablet. Like, it's clear that the version of the Emerald Tablet that we have that has the Gamea word in it is clearly, like, highly corrupt. Like, it's been translated poorly into Arabic from somebody translating from probably a Greek original. So we don't know what the original word is, and we don't actually know the etymology of it. Agate, or buds of a flower. That's cute. When I read the history of the private life, they claimed that in pagan Rome, as in primarily culturally Roman, educated young people saw the myths and gods as metaphors, but you had to do the rituals like hurricane-proof your house. Is that accurate? I don't... That's like a very broad claim. Like, the idea that, like, oh yeah, Romans saw the gods as metaphors is just, like, that's not true. I'm sure some of them did, and I'm sure that that was, like, a way that people saw it, but, like, there were definitely people who saw the gods as, like, real things, and you could get in trouble for acting impious for. Like, that... The idea that, like, every Roman was, like, an atheist, that's not fucking true. That's definitely not true. Hi, Red Robots. Welcome to chat. Oh yeah, a decent number of Orphic gold tablets are actually lamella. Yeah, well fucking... A solid gold tablet? Like, you can't fucking... That's so expensive! Or even a solid lead tablet. You have to steal that shit from the plumbing to make that. Kolossoi and Katadesmoi are different, right? They've got something to do with curses. Kolossoi and Katadesmoi are what we would today call voodoo dolls. There are multiple words for them. It's impossible to know whether they were different or not. That's one of those things where it was like... Yeah, it's like... People are like, actually, there's a difference between a mage and a sorcerer these days. Like just think of, like, modern Reconstructionist neo-pagan circles where people are like, actually, a sorcerer is different than a wizard. Like, but in reality, like, there really isn't. They're doing mostly the same things. It's, like, purely an internal moniker that people use to distinguish among, like, other people doing similar things. Or they get really mad if you say warlock. Yeah. that's kind of how I interpret a lot of the differentiations in ancient Greek magical texts, like the Ogden source book, where it's like, oh yeah, well there's clearly a difference between the Goetes and the fucking Sukagagomoy, or whatever the fuck, how you pronounce that. It's like, yeah, the people wrote these different words, but was there really? Like, if you meet a person today talking about the difference between a warlock and a warlock and a sorcerer, like, in referring to, like, actual people that are dressing up in robes and doing wizard shit out in the woods, like, is there really a difference between those two people? Yeah, like, making distinctions without differences long after the fact. Or just, like, at the time, right? Like one of the things that really jumps out to me about, like, reading the Ogden source book and, like, how diverse Greco-Roman magic was is, like, we're doing the same shit. Like, Reconstructionist neo-pagans and modern occultists are, like, exactly the same shit. Like, you've even got all the fucking pharmakeia referring to, like, what is effectively, like, working with plants to produce substances of various effects. Like, if you go to the average music festival today, you're gonna find somebody who's, like, offering you a mysteriously efficacious mixture of plants, claiming that it has magical effects. Like, that hasn't changed since, like, 700 BC. Sounds like when somebody argues about the difference between a Greek nerd, dweeb, dork, etc. Yeah, that's very much how I kind of interpret it. Although that's only true for some terms. Like, you have terms like magoi or magi, which have, like, that has a bit of a racial, or less racial, but, like, nationalistic aspect. Like, it's implied that those people are barbarians and foreigners, right? There's an association of otherness with the term magoi and magi that isn't necessarily present with Sukag, like, mantes. Yeah, like Persian Mandean type wizards. That's kind of what they mean. Even though it's like, it definitely became a more general term by the fucking 4th century. Is a magi not a Zoroastrian? Well, it was, but the Greeks kind of saw where it's like, oh, like yeah, you had the magi, the Zoroastrian priest, but then the Greek people didn't, like, the average Greek person did not really understand what the magi were, so they just kind of assumed that any brown person doing magic shit was a magi, even though that definitely wasn't true. So, therefore, any person doing vaguely Persian or Mandean-shaped magic stuff was obviously a magi, right? They're obviously the magi. And so, then people started talking about, like, you hear your buddy talk about, it's like, oh, I met this magi the other day, and you don't know if they met an actual magi, or they just, like, saw a Greco-Persian person putting things in a bowl and selling it. And so you're like, oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the pharmakeia. You know, I've met those guys down in Thessaly. And so, therefore, there's, like, a semantic drift where the term magi becomes associated specifically with, like, Persian and Mandean people doing, like, religious rituals, but it also just kind of means anyone doing magic shit. We fucked up big time with that? Not really. This is how words work. Oh, wait, no, you said a different thing. This makes my friend's old setting we were in high school with the secret society of Hellenic wizards calling themselves magi hilarious. No, that's, like, true. They called them, like, the fucking English Hellenic occultists or whatever were, like, you call yourself whatever. Like, at a certain distance from the actual historical milieu, and you have a magical society, you're calling yourself every term. You are sorcerers and magi and gastrimoltoi or whatever. Like, at a certain point, you just don't care what words you use. Especially magi, because magi are in the Bible, right? Any magical term that appears in the Bible, formal high magic groups are going to use to refer to themselves. Is that where the 3 wise men or magi in the Bible come from, or is that something else? Yes, it is where the term in the Bible comes from. It's usually translated as wise man, and I've read that is evidence of the semantic drift of the term, that it was just kind of used as a more general thing for, like, a barbarian sorcerer. But you could easily argue against that. But yeah, that is the origin of the term. It's implied that the three people who met the child Christ were like barbarian sorcerers or literally like Zoroastrian priests who have come to affirm the true nature and supremacy of the child Christ. I think some Chinese translation calls them doctors. That's fascinating. I would love to like read a commentary on a translation into fucking Chinese. That would be real interesting. In the lore, they also picked up the Mediterranean wizard to make their secret world, so I guess the name works. Yeah. Larry and Curly coming to Jesus with a slapstick. There's a joke in there about, like, what the hell you bring him? What the hell's frankincense? I brought him gold. Etc., etc. Do you think the Zoroastrians affirming the correctness of Christ understood by the majority of people of time? That is hard to say. I'm sure that's like an element of it, but that is a semantic use of a word that I am not smart enough to like really give any effective commentary on. Hooray, I asked a good question. Yeah, no, it's like honestly like fucking ask away. Like I'm not gonna make fun of anyone for like wanting to know more about a thing. Funnily enough, the Bible doesn't just mention how many wise men or magi there were, just that there was more than one. I wonder where the term three comes from then. That's interesting. Or from what I remember. Oh, so you just might not be correct at all. That's fine. Because of the three gifts, right. I guess that's a good assumption. It's not like it matters all that much. Christianity does love threes, also a good assumption, just in general. That Ollie fool is the one not asking questions. Ah, fuck, you're supposed to bring gifts? Let me go get some, bitter pine resin. Map the Trinity to the gifts, or is that heresy? From what I've read, the gifts are representative of Christ. Because, like, I forget which one it is, but either myrrh or frankincense, like, one of them is used as a, It makes you sneeze. I forget what the medical term for it is, but it's like a substance that induces sneezing and dries out the sinuses, which is commonly used for, like, treating stuff, medicine, right? It represents, like, Christ as a healer. And then myrrh is used to, like, dry out bodies to prepare them for burial. And so it's often used as a, like, it represents the child Christ's conquering of death. And then gold is, like, glory and wealth. Yeah, it's an embalming thing. There is so much, like, semantic depth in that chunk of the Bible specifically that has, like, all this really interesting, like, symbolism and, like, dare I say, esoteric symbolism that is very much lost on modern readers. That shit's really interesting to me. Gold represents cash money. Fat stacks. I did have a question in my notes last time. You mentioned something called the Agatha Daimon, or a good spirit. Did practitioners ever want to work with other spirits? I think you mean implying, like, you're implying, like, demons and whatnot. Like, that did happen. Like, there's bits of the PGM that have stuff like that. But Agatha, at least in in Hermetica, it's implied that Agatha Daimon is, like, a god. It's not just a good spirit. It's, like, a god who is referred to as the good spirit, as Agatha Daimon. Yeah, Agatha Daimon's, like, a specific guy. There's a couple theories as to which specific guy it is, but I'd have to ask one of my more Hermetica-built friends if they have any, like, interesting exegesis there. May, you got anything there? Because a lot of the figures in Hermetica are, like, paralleled with existing Egyptian gods, right? The good spirit, if you will. Yeah, it's both a guy and a class of spirit. That's a... But isn't in Hermetica he's referred to with, like a proper noun. He's not just a good spirit, he's the good spirit. But you do also see spells involving, like, general... Agathodaimon's general, rather than Agathodaimon proper. I could go for some good spirits right now. Hell yeah, brother! How much did Christianity keep of esotericism occult, then, if they were trying to suppress certain readings that would have included it? That is a very good question, and is, like, honestly worthy of an entire week of Philosophy Friday in and of itself. Like, in many ways, Christianity was, like, explicitly anti-esoteric. Like, that's fucking Augustine. If you ever sat down to read St. Augustine, that's his whole deal, right? So there are, like, generally Agathodaimon that is the spirit over someone from their horoscope. The Agathodaimon can be the intermediary between the spheres and a living human. Okay, interesting. Well, okay, May, whose interpretation of that? That sounds a little thalamic. Where'd you get that? It's okay if you don't know. I'm not, like, trying to put you on the spot. But that seems like the sort of thing that would really vibe well with, like, a Crowleyan exegesis of the text. Oh, yeah, but to go back to the esotericism, it's like... It was based off the Chaldean fragments? Okay, yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, the Chaldeans were super into astrology like that, so that would make a lot of sense. And, like, they loved their astrology and astral intermediaries. And Iamblichus references? Okay, okay. But yeah, it's like... Fucking... A lot of the people who eventually got thrown into the heresy bucket when they were competing to see what would eventually become canon Christianity had a very esoteric dint to it. And so a lot of early Christian shit is railed against. A lot of esoteric shit is railed against by Augustine, him saying that, like, he doesn't like esotericism, because you got to remember, Augustine and a lot of the church fathers were arguing for, like, there were basically two big factions within the proto-church. It was, like, the people who leaned more towards, like, a decentralized, like, there was just kind of bishops in their flocks, and you could become redeemed through just, like, learning about the teachings of Christ and contemplating it in a very Platonist way. That's a little bit of a reach. I don't want to say it was Platonist. That could give you the wrong idea. But that, like, much more decentralized thing, where people are just, like, kind of learning and talking about Christ. And then the proto-church, the proto-Orthodox guys, who eventually became the Latin Church, the Latin Catholic Church, they leaned more towards having a centralized authority there was one canon and a centralized authority who could determine, like, what was okay to teach and what wasn't okay to teach. So a lot of what could have been Christian esotericism was excised from the canon by guys like St. Augustine and Irenaeus. St. Augustine really was the Raphael of the church fathers. Every time I hear about him, he's angry about something. It's like, I would actually say that Irenaeus is the fucking Raphael one. Well, even that isn't really great. It's like, okay, reading Irenaeus, he's the guy who was, like, against the Gnostics, right? So reading Irenaeus is very, like, destroying them with facts and logic type shit. Like, Irenaeus is the guy who, like, he's like, check out what the Gnostics actually believe. And then he, like, very faithfully, very methodically and faithfully, like, describes a large chunk of Gnostic mythology in, like, very exact details, just saying, like, look at what these idiots think. Just inadvertently preserving most of Gnosticism for like 2,000 years until we found the actual texts themselves. But Augustine is very much like Irenaeus is clearly a little mad, right? He's mad that people are following these guys. He's mad that they have clout. He's a little jealous that people follow them more than he does. Yeah, he was a historically useful hater. Hello, Anasa King. Okay, let me give it a T. Guetai something Ray. I don't know what that says. I'm doing my best to sound it out. How'd I do? Proof that haterism can be useful. Tiginatai Edo Ray. What's going on here in Greek? Haha, that was actually close. Yay! I'm slowly trying to teach myself how to read classical Greek, so thank you for the practice. We're just playing video games. We're talking about Greco-Roman esotericism. Irenaeus has the poster spirit. I would actually say that Augustine has a bit of the poster spirit. Like, Irenaeus is the type of guy who writes like 30,000 word text walls in a blog post, but fucking Augustine is more like Augustine would do great on something awful. He's a little witty, right? He's got some bars occasionally. Irenaeus is definitely like Irenaeus is doing theological criticism for theology perverts. So you have to care about very intricate theology to really understand why Irenaeus is why and how he's owning people. But Augustine has some bars sometimes. He has a comeback, but he also believes in like a very conservative, like heterodox, like he's interested in making church doctrine both, what do you call it, like comprehensive. He wants it to fit well together, and he wants it to be easy to preach. That was actually one of Irenaeus's, like, one of his few W's against the Gnostics was like, you know, he's talking about like all the different aeons and how they all fit together and like how complex Gnostic theology is. And he's like, how the fuck do you preach this? Like, how do you explain this to some random Hellenic dirt farmer? Like, oh yeah, there's like 24 aeons and they all have their own different names and their own specific like esoteric pairs, and we talk about them as gender, but they're not actually gendered. And then you have some like fucking like Athenian fishermen being like, oh, okay. I mean, the Mahayana Buddhists get away with it. Well, they weren't like, okay, the Mahayana Buddhists weren't trying to compete with all of the other religions and sects present in the Roman Empire. Like, the Mahayana Buddhists weren't trying to hustle like the early church was. Literally, yeah, people in real life, hey man, how's it going? I feel like the Athenian fishermen occasionally in this stream. Ask questions. Banish the ignorance from your mind. Would Irenaeus make 4-hour-long video essays breaking down the beliefs of various groups and have small, angry, animated avatar? He's like almost that in my mind. He's like he wouldn't necessarily have a PNG tuber, but he would have a fucking, like, he would have like a cartoon of him scowling in the video thumbnail, but it would mainly just be his voice. Yeah, he doesn't necessarily have a rant Sona, but he has a scowling animated version of himself. Okay, what are we doing in Warframe here? Let's check Nightwave.
Now you might be wondering.
A scowl Sona, exactly.
Dreamers.
I don't want to do Steel Pass shit right now. Now trying to figure out who's the most PNG tuber-coded apostle church father. Maybe Paul? My understanding is that Irenaeus was basically the angry video game nerd. Yeah, why not? We're asking the spider frame if I can give her small bugs to kill.
And we're out.
Feeding my Warframe bugs until it uses Shatter Dome on me. Or Strangle Dome. On me. I basically cracked every relic in rotation. What should we do right now? If Irenaeus is the AVGN who's the nostalgia critic. I wish I knew more about early heresiology for this. The new spider frame? There's a new spider frame? I looked up Irenaeus, and every other depiction of him gives him a Mega Mind Dome. I can imagine anything. Oh, I didn't watch the dev stream. That's cool. Which apostle would use guns the most? I don't know. We're stretching my knowledge of the early church. I've been meaning to grind for Gyre. Let's go grind for Gyre. Let me see what Gyre parts I have. And Ureli Prime in a week. Okay. Was Jesus in the NFP? When the Son of the Lord hits you with that INTJ stare. No, fuck Peter. You all hate Peter. You're all trying to like rank which of the apostles is the most cringe, but they are the apostles. Come on now. Get some perspective. It's a little funny to me when people are like, Paul is the cringe apostle. I'm like, he's the foundation of Christianity. Like, you can't stop the wagon there. Come on now. Yeah, he fucking sucks. But, I mean, come on. Everyone is so mean to Jeezy's homeboys. He kind of deserves it. I don't like Paul because his readings were always the most boring at Mass. That's true. He has, like, very little swag. I wonder if Heresy Logs knows enough stuff about this angry video game nerd stuff to answer these questions. We should get Heresy Log on stream. we should hit him live from the convent. I do want to bring more guests onto these streams. They're fun. John should have been Pope instead of Peter. That's right. I see the Aelac blueprint in your foundry. I always liked Thomas. Because Thomas is like, but convince me. Alright. Geyer. Nothing, huh? Alright. Well, why don't we head out? Like Bartholomew. Do you guys have a favorite martyrdom? For me, it's hard to beat the martyrdom of Bartholomew. It's like everyone says Lawrence, but I feel like everyone knows Lawrence, you know? He's like the normie take. I know a girl who argues that the actual head of the church should have been the Bishop of Antioch, since that's where Peter was first. You and the Second Council of Nicaea, dog. Or your friend and the Second Council of Nicaea. That's like, I've been trying to study like early church heresies, and literally like 80% of them are like, fuck! A city-state is having a little too much power, fuck! Thought the normie take was Sebastian. Actually, that's true. No, you're right. It is, the normie one is Sebastian. All right. All right. All right, good. We got a low rank, exterminate, potential to drop the Neuros. Let's do that. St. Guinevere. Yeah. You're non-canon, though. It's not a martyrdom. Patron saint of ice skating. The one who was killed by his students. Oh, yeah, the one who got stabbed to death by a million children with pencils. Joan of Arc is a martyr? Is she considered a martyr? I'm not up on my Joan of Arc lore. I know the church recently decanonized a couple saints. Like, they decanonized Saint Christopher recently, which fucking sucked. He was one of my favorites, because he's considered, like, a little bit too mythological. Yeah, Guinevere's only canon in Legends. He's like, if I knew a second thing about Star Wars, I could make a great joke here. Fuck! My aura! My aura! You can decanonize saints? Yeah, they do it all the time! There are legend saints. Kinda, yeah. There's, like, saints that aren't, like... They're, like, not officially considered saints, but they're, like, still part of Catholic mythology. Like, the Catholic Church is, like, well, recently decided was, like, well, there's very little actual evidence for St. Christopher existing, so we kind of have to decanonize him. Oh, St. Barbara was decanonized? She's one of my favorites. Or are you making a pun on decanonization? Because her iconography involves a cannon. Like a literal cannon. St. Lucy imagery? I'm not familiar. Yeah, they've been fanonized. Also known as heresy. That's still one of my favorite anons I've ever gotten on Tumblr. Is like, why doesn't the Catholic Church teach about Gnosticism? I was like, it's heresy? It's like the original heresy? This happens exclusively when there's no evidence they existed. You can't remove a real person like that. Yup. You go to the Catholic Church and go ask if God is real. Yeah, they'll say so. But they'll point to the Bible as historical evidence. Oh, it's leading me back here. Awesome. Great. Cool. I love how the Zeraman just, like, doesn't work, and the navigation is just always broken. So real people with dodgy miracles get to say, yeah, they're the fucking Catholic Church, dog. Like, what are we expecting here? all the fucking people on Tumblr being like, hang on a second, the new pope is problematic. It's like, it's the Catholic Church. What are we doing here? Guys, this cardinal may have covered up child abuse allegations. Like, yeah, what are we doing here? Is it our first day on planet Earth? I thought we were all on the same page here. Didn't some kid with a website become a saint? Yeah, I forget what his miracles were. Bowl found in kitchen. Yeah, exactly. Can you still become a saint? Yeah, but you need, like, confirmed miracles. Like, you need to make sure that it's, like, there's, like, a spec ops team from the Vatican who has to show up and verify that your miracle's actually a miracle. The gamer pope helped a person heal after his mother prayed to him. Yeah, I think you mean gamer saint. It's like if a doctor has a good explanation for your alleged healing. Yep. We are so euphoric over Chicago Pope, we forgot the inherent issues of the Catholic Church. Exactly. It is funny. Fucking Deep Dish Eucharist is very funny. That's hilarious. Ah, Buddy's hunting for void plumes. Yeah, the gamer Pope is the one that got Undertale from MatPat. La Pape Gamer. Yeah, he's referred to as the first millennial saint. It's good. I think it's fine. That's like one of the least offensive things about the Catholic Church. Don't think he's actually been sainted yet. I don't think you officially get sainted until after you die. Isn't that true? That could be complete bullshit. Don't quote me on that.
Come on. Void angels still trying to feed on the reliquary. Go and visit hell upon them.
Yeah, you have to be dead to be a saint. I can imagine. The Catholic Church is not known for moving quickly. Bro is gonna die and get torn apart for reliquaries. Do they? That would be funny if they actually kept a reliquary from him. Didn't they say they're not doing many saints? They're just like... It's hard. Like, the Catholic Church cares a little bit more about science these days, so proving a miracle... Like, the Catholic Church is... Not proving a miracle, but, like, the Catholic Church's bar for miracledom is a little higher these days. I've been thinking a lot about the book recently. I got this section on the Greco-Roman world kind of wrapping up. I have an old section about the PGM that I want to work in somewhere. That's always fun. I'm debating how much time I want to spend in the medieval era, and if I do, what I should cover. Because, like, most of that era from, like, basically, like, 600 to, like, the 10th century is kind of covered by the Islamic alchemy section. The PGM, it stands for Greek Magical Papyri. Or in Latin, it's Papyri Gratiae Magicae. And the PGM is basically it's a collection of magical texts from, like, the 1st century BC to the 4th century, like, kind of from the late Greek to early Roman period, late Greek to early Roman period. Any big takeaways on this period of the book? It really is the foundation. Like, so much shit in Western esotericism is people treating... Like, okay, if you were to draw a graph of, like, the inheritance tree of Western esotericism, you have the, like, Favre's definition is basically, it's where monotheism meets Greek philosophy. And there's really 5 big currents there. Yeah, everything in Western magic is Mediterranean theurgy. Exactly. Like... So much shit that in Western esotericism is just people building increasingly complex structures on the foundation of fucking Mediterranean theurgy. It's just like, it's random people using various methods to talk to spirits, to draw them down from the heavens, as it were.
Parvos Granum wants this ship for himself. We need to trust him to get it done.
Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. What about Al-Kindi? Well, Al-Kindi actually is like that's kind of what so many... Yes, that's the stellar ray guy. Stellar ray theory guy. Like, okay, for those that don't know, like, Al-Kindi is the guy who's like... metals gain their various properties because they are bathed in starlight, which gives them different qualities and powers and abilities. I think, like, once you hit Al-Kindi and the Baghdad House of Wisdom, that's like the first real sea change in Western esotericism. Like, there's a lot of... It kind of splits. Like, you get the beginnings of the European grimoire tradition, with guys like Honorius and shit. But, like... well, let's be fucking honest here. All the real good shit was happening over in the Baghdad House of Wisdom. And I think the major intellectual change there is, like, you had the advent of the clerical system. You had, like, the college system. It wasn't just, like, Plato's Academy, but you had several hundred years for early Islam to iterate on both rabbinical Judaism's version of, like, transmitting and studying a text, along with the Catholic Church's, like, complex and very effective, like, clerical system, just for managing books and exchanging information and preserving things. Like, you had 800 years for Islam to effectively combine those systems into something resembling the modern college system, where you just have a lot of money going to a lot of very smart people, collecting and sharing information and concentrating it into specific places. And once you start doing shit like that for magic, for, like, esoteric texts, you get new shit that isn't just Greek theurgy. You get shit like Al-Kindi. You get, like, esoteric metaphysics and people trying to explain these esoteric ideas in increasingly complex ways. And those kind of proto-scientific, or scientific if you want to call it that, those, like, kind of proto-scientific methods of transmitting knowledge changed what it meant to have a magical text. Like, it's different now because it's a lot more intellectualized. When did the Greeks not have a complex proto-scientific metaphysics? No. They did. It's just, it starts, like, the ability to concentrate that into a single text just goes into the fucking stratosphere. Like, now, instead of just having, like, a sort of intellectual tradition between, like, masters and students like you had in the Greco-Roman world, you had, like, a whole college of guys working on this shit at once. That's more what I mean here. Like, they had complex proto-scientific metaphysics, but they were able to do it so much faster and in a way that allowed them to add to it and develop it significantly faster. Am I making sense here? You don't need intercessors. The world itself is simply full of creative power from Allah. Oh, that was kind of present in the Greco-Roman milieu. Like, they loved their fucking Plotinus. Like, fucking... The Greeks did have complex proto-scientific metaphysics, but they weren't necessarily trying to... They weren't necessarily trying to, what do you call it? Like,
The Albrecht membrane is shot to hell.
they weren't trying to unify it in the same way.
Almost constant excellence.
It's kind of like the Industrial Revolution. Not quite. It's honestly hard to get, like, a good parallel here. Middle Platonism was trying to unify? Yeah, I agree. Not in the... like... I would argue not in the same way as the Baghdad House of Wisdom, though. Because they were trying to unify in a very, like... What do you call it? Like in a Platonist sense of that term. This is the Islamic Golden Age? Or what happened during... Yeah, it's like one of the things that happened during the Islamic Golden Age. Although there were many of those. It didn't have much institutional patronage and backing. That's fucking true. They also, like, the Baghdad House of Wisdom also benefited from, like, implicit monotheism as a unifying structure. I don't know how influential you want to say that was, but it was definitely a factor. God, the Middle Platonists are so fucking interesting. Like, all of, fucking, it was like On the Garden of the Nymphs. Is that the one? I forget the text, but there's like... Is Gemistos Plethon? I have no idea who that is, so probably not. Am I being D's nuts right now? I don't know who Gemistos Plethon is. He reintroduced Plato to Western Europe during the Council of Florence, and his last book was basically him rejecting Christianity and to return to Hellenic paganism. I didn't know about that guy. It seems like a fucking, that's like a character from an Umberto Eco novel. That type of shit happened every time somebody tried to reintroduce Plato to Europe. That happened with fucking Ludovico Lazzarelli and Marcio Ficino as well. Every time a European Christian is like, we should, like, retranslate fucking the Enneads or something, they're like, I'm actually a Platonist now and Christianity is wrong. or Christianity is like a shadow of what it should be. They couldn't handle that fucking Plato, dog. It was too much for them. Got another one, lads. Caught. Oh, I'm so full of Platonism. Longest Greek epic is about Dionysus conquering India, written by a Christian. Riley, one of these days we're gonna find the kingdom of Prester John. It's gonna happen. You and me together. We're gonna work together. We're gonna figure it out one day. Take my hand. Let's find the kingdom of Prester John together. Wish I was taught more about the Islamic Golden Age, but it got stripped from our educational plan because it was deemed Muslim propaganda. It's literally like compared to the influence of the Islamic world during like the fucking 8th to 12th centuries is like, no, Europe like sucked for 400 years. Like no one should have given a shit. Like people should just stop talking about Europe for like 400 years and just like start talking about the Islamic Golden Age. It was like that influential. You've never heard of Prester John? Oh my god, Riley, in fucking... I'm so excited that I get to tell you about this. In the medieval era, there was this pervasive myth that somewhere to the east, beyond the kingdom of the, beyond the Middle East, beyond the Caucasus, like somewhere out past the Mongols, there was a Christian kingdom. There was like a far eastern Christian kingdom in what is now like Eastern Mongolia. They also thought it was Ethiopia. It was like a lost Christian kingdom. And that, like, a lot of these lost crusaders, like, accidentally overshot and, like, wandered out to the Far East and ended up, like, being welcomed by this Far Eastern Christian king. Mormonism confirmed! Yeah, they crossed they crossed the Pacific from Japan and discovered the kingdom of Prester John. Yeah, they sailed to South America and hung out with the definitely Christian Aztecs. Apparently the kingdom of Prester John is like a plot point in Baudolino, but I don't have enough free time to read another Echo book at the moment. Welsh Native Americans thing, but the other way around? Yup. I do love a good pro-Christian legend that is, like, about how your knights totally didn't get owned. We totally didn't get owned by the Saracens, guys! Al-Andalus will remain Christian in perpetuity. Whee! Okay, I'm extracting. At some point in the Alexander romances, they lose 200 men to a single crocodile. No, no. They lose 200 men to a giant crocodile. Everything in the Alexander romances is a giant version of a normal animal. My favorite one is the enormous hippopotamus. 200 Christians versus 1 crocodile. How many giant crocodiles, though? 1. I recently read a thing by a Catholic blogger who claimed that the Inca supreme deity was blatantly the Christian one. That happens so often, yeah. Flawless Sobek victory. A hippopotamus could easily kill 200 hoplites. Like, it's not even a question. Just got done writing a massive paper about Ibn Battuta, and it's crazy how massive the Muslim world was, that in medieval era, we can't believe we never got taught about that. It is legitimately crazy. Fucking, like, if you haven't read... Yay, Neuroptics! If you haven't read the Travels of Ibn Battuta, they're hilarious. They're amazing. Like, it's some of the best historical literature I've ever read.
Come on. This place is
Ibn Battuta owned.
heading straight back into hell.
Okay. We got the neuros. We need the fucking... We need chassis and systems. I don't want to do Void Cascade. We'll just do mobile defense. That's fine.
Ooh, the Zeraman
CT, I've been reading Lucian a lot. I haven't read Lucian. What are your thoughts on Lucian? Please read Lucian and Euripides when you can. I should. I definitely should. Fucking... After I finish this fucking book, there's like so many other weird little texts that it's like are way too niche for me to fit into the book and thus my research schedule, but are like truly fascinating for me. Like that's the fucking Middle Platonist to me. There are so many like weird Middle Platonist esoteric texts that are like, it's like you read it, you're like, why is no one talking about this shit? I don't have to pick up a data mass for this, do I? No. Okay. You put them in like an appendix. More and more, I'm considering like releasing the book and then immediately starting to write like a second edition of it that has glosses on the same page, like the fucking Torah, where I'm just like commenting on my own work and talking about shit that I like correcting myself. You know, I want to like interview a bunch of experts and have them like roast my own work. I think that would be a lot of fun. Yeah, literally, I want to release like a Game of the Year edition of my book that has like I want to release a Game of the Year edition of my book that has like director's commentary and shit. I think that would be a blast. Plus, it would make it look more esoteric. I think that's like, unironically, I think that's actually important for any like book about magical history that's aiming to actually teach the interested about the actual history. It's like people don't just want a book about magical history. A book about magical history needs to feel like a magical text, right? You need to be able to flip through it and see magic-looking diagrams. It needs to have weird textual quirks that make it seem fucking special in some way. That's legitimately important, I think.
Plug in the thingy and keep it in one piece.
Like the Daily Show's America book that has an edition with notes by somebody correcting it. I didn't know about that, but that's fun. One of my favorite books that I've ever gotten, like comedy-wise, is the Onion Book of Known Knowledge, where it's like they're doing a parody dictionary, like Dictionary of the Khazars. And it has an extra letter entry called Thober between U and V. It's so fucking funny. Claim someone else wrote the glosses? Oh my god, that'd be hilarious. Right. Claim that my own textual exegesis is wrong. No, I'll say that fucking William Walker Atkinson wrote it. It's yet another William Walker Atkinson book. I'm gonna say it's actually the 6th book of occult philosophy. We don't even know what happened to 5. And the glosses, written by Hermes Trismegistus.
This system's back online. Find us another.
William Walker Atkinson is Gabir. Yeah, exactly. He's the author of the entire Gabirian corpus, which is like in the in the Honograph dictionary when they talk about the Gabirian corpus, it's like, well, there's more text here than one person could write in like 1,000 years. It's like it would take one person like 8 lifetimes to actually write everything here. So it's probably not by one person.
Scrubbing the system.
Whenever I think of Trismegistus, I think of those comics about Coward Tumblr. Yes, fucking I love that artist. I want to commission them to do art for the book once it's like ready for publishing. I fucking love their art. Yeah, Girls Complex. Like legitimately one of my favorite artists on Tumblr.
Nearly done. Keep defending.
It was one person, but they were a really fast writer. Yeah, they had like 8 arms or some shit. Are you saying all Fanafi? As if it's like a Scott Cawthon game or some shit. Guy who does those Gnostic furry comics? That could be a lot of people. No, there's a lot of Tumblr artists that I wanna commission for at least like one piece of like marginalia or something. One Piece? Oh, I said One Piece, and now you guys are freaking out about it. Okay, fine. Yeah. Luffy is there. Luffy's gonna be in the book, alright? Whatever. Who even gives a shit? Let's go! Gonna have knights fighting with giant snails in the margins. I want some shit like that. I want to get like a small commission from a lot of my different artist friends, and just to do marginalia. Okay, did we get anything? Nope.
Void cascades on multiple decks. We've got our work cut out for it.
Have I maxed out my standing with this bitch? Hang on.
Let's
Ah.
go forward in mutual trust. We should be doing more to
Okay, just save 5 pinions.
until you next return.
What? Somewhere, there's a version of me who stayed behind on Lua. And I hate her. I'll see you later.
Let's the Grenier keep throwing troops at the Zeraman.
Yonta's one of the best characters in this chunk of the game.
She wants more of it.
I do very much enjoy the art of Girls Complex, but I always feel like I'm missing huge chunks of the context for it. Yeah, Girls Complex is clearly like very familiar with Western esotericism. There's a lot of like visual references to shit.
Save your strength for when it's needed. We should be doing more to recognize your work. Here's what we've got, such as it is.
Wow, that sounds good. Let's get this.
Queen is dead. Whatever guilt he bore should have died.
Still not entirely sure what's happening in the story here.
Still burn.
Because we're not finished here. None of us.
If we're talking redemption,
There's a Ballast portrait in the clan dojo. He's in the fire pit barbecue room.
So this
Good.
is our
Hurt
fate.
Ballast.
Living out every
Kill Ballast.
pantomime of contrition.
There's an MR Excalibur, an MR0 Excalibur in with you? Aww, it's a baby.
We're back to how we were. This ain't just a second chance. It's an eternity of second chances.
Perhaps.
There was an ARG thing that tied into this. Okay.
Matters, but so does duty.
You read Geosophia by Jake Stratton Kent? Yes. Yeah. That was a very interesting like text.
All the void's creations must find a
I wish I could like
even ones we
fuck, I
don't
should
know.
revisit that. I remember that being pretty good.
Let eternity be our horizon.
Okay, I don't really care all that much. Can we skip this?
One for the ship.
Hi, Quinn.
Before the Orchid, people believed in other gods. Invisible,
All right, cool.
incomprehensible, but worthy of devotion. Because they invested life with meaning beyond a mortal.
Please stop talking. I want to play video games.
We skirt the borders of a terror with no limit to its depth.
Can you escort the border of terror somewhere else, man?
To bring meaning to my existence. You have done that. And if there were any gods to thank, I would thank them for you.
Thank you. Tenno, this is important. I do. I just don't really like the Holdfast story that much. The characters are kind of flat. I'm sorry. Yont is the only interesting one. Put me on a cross, hurt me, kill everything. Whatever, it's fine. Hamilton Giles is like, you need a PhD in phenomenology to have finished the 8-year dragon cycle, but then this will be perfectly clear. Fucking, like, it's like half of modern, like, serious esoterica, honestly. I do actually need to rank up with the Kavia eventually. Maybe we'll do that next. My goal is still to get every frame in the game.
nearly done. Keep defending, please.
I just got Hydroid Prime. I don't know. I don't know where I should go next from here. Like, I don't know how much I want to talk about the medieval era. Like, probably be worth it at least mentioning the European grimoire tradition, but I'd probably want to do that, like,
Systems clean. Great work.
after I talk about like alchemy and the Baghdad House of Wisdom. I don't really know. I'll need to like you know what? I'll check out my old notes on the PGM, see where I can fit that into the current section, and then maybe compile the first draft. Medieval area is India, India, India. Yes, but I'm trying to focus on Western esotericism here. As much as I want to talk about it, as much as I want to learn about it. Trying to stay occidental here. Zosimos could be a good Brit. Ah, that's a good point, actually. Zosimos is so annoying to study, though. He's like, every like good source about him has to reference the fact that it was fucking Freud who translated him. You're right, though. The good stuff is in Arabic. Yeah. That would be a good transitional section, actually. Yeah. Okay, you got the fucking wheels turning. That's why I fucking do these streams. Goddamn. Maybe we'll do that this week. I am debating how much I want to talk about Freud in the text. Like, he's clearly important for contemporary occultism, but summarizing in what ways and how is a bit of a bucket of worms.
Okay, scrubbing the system.
Just casually mention him and don't elaborate. I'm writing a history. I can't, like... if he's important, I gotta actually talk about him. I could mention him and, like, just not elaborate, but I'm writing a history. Be intellectually dishonest if I did that. Freud was an occultist? Yes. It would be super funny. You do have a point there. Minoring in psychology, so I hear a lot about Freud. Freud was really good at observing human behavior, but when he tried to explain his observations, he, well... Yeah, but it's like... the contemporary writing on why people did stuff was, like, so vestigial. Like, it was basically just fucking... It was basically just, like, Freud and Jung. And Jung was, like, pretty much objectively improving on Freud. Sorry. Oh my god, I said fucking Freud was an occultist. Freud was not an occultist. Jung was an occultist.
Bit of brute force can work miracles. Sector's ours. Well done.
Just include a link to his Wikipedia page. That's a bit much. Fucking hell. In which ways? Jung was strictly better than Freud? I agree, yeah. During my psych minor, we, like, never talked about Freud. We talked about Freud in my English literature. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like Freud was, like, working from just, like, whatever he could figure out, you know? Hi, Corvex. I don't know. I don't know how much I want to talk about Jung. He was alive in the 20th century. Or, like, he was alive in the 20th century. Yeah, they all did a lot of cocaine. Yeah, Freud was way less into talking about Western esotericism. Jung was very, very into it. Hey, we've been live for quite a bit now. I think it's a bit of a break time. What do you guys think? Get yourself a snack. Get some water, stretch your legs. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. Hey. Hey. Remember, I can only do these streams because you guys are supporting me. Absolutely no trouble at all. But my Patreon's in the crawl. You can use !command Patreon. Head over there, throw me some money. I really appreciate it. Absolutely no pressure, but anything helps. I'm only able to do stuff like this because you guys are supporting me. There might not be a Patreon command, but it's there at the bottom of the screen on the crawl. I don't really know things. Who knows how anything works, honestly? There is a plum command, I guess. That's good. I do have plum, which is nice. Little gray alien called Plum. Isn't that lovely? Did you guys get snacks? What snacks did you get? I hope the singular English pound I send you every month helps. It does. It literally does. Like I think there's a lot of people get nervous about the fact that they can't send me much, even though I fucking get it. It's a rough economy. Genuinely, it's I would rather have 10 people giving me $1 than one person giving me $10. Make tuna noodle right now. That's pretty good. I like tuna noodle. Toodle. That's true. That's really true. Remember, chat, if enough people hand someone $1, they will have many dollar. That is very true, and I appreciate every dollar that you guys hand me. Honestly, these... branching out into Twitch has actually helped me get out a bit of a financial slump, and I'm very happy that, it's very nice that you guys have chosen to support me, and I really enjoy doing stuff like this. It makes me, I used to do, tarot readings and shit to promote my blog, but at a certain point, that only gets people that are on Tumblr, and it's always annoying, trying to promote yourself. And oh my god, those take, so much more work than they are worth. Grappling with Tumblr's, post-editing system to actually put out one of those fucking tarot reading things is so annoying. And being able to, actually sit down and, interact with people and give a lecture about something that I'm relatively well-read about is so much more... I feel like I'm actually giving people entertainment worthy of their money for this, rather than, just posting. The content is excellent and very useful. An English pound well spent. I'm glad to know that. Did you stop doing the tarot readings for fresh patrons? Yeah, I did. I need to figure out a way to, finish up the ones that are already in the queue. There's, 12 that I technically need to do, but, you gotta understand, it is so annoying to do those. I'd love to do another stream where you do tarot readings while under gaming duress. Yes, I want to take the Sekiro challenge again. I think that would be a lot of fun. Octavian Kettle Brand potato chips. That was such a fun stream. It really was. Let's get on Jame and play pictures together. Exactly. Exactly. As somebody who greatly enjoys wizards and magic, but it has an as-of-now surface-level understanding of actual esotericism, this has been really fascinating. I'm really glad! Like, that makes me really happy. My goal as a fucking, like, science communicator, I guess, is, like, so many people are really interested in, like, magic and esotericism, but they have no idea how to actually approach it in the real world. And as long as I can, like, get people interested in the actual history, that's a victory for me. I've won. That's what I'm trying to do here. Magic science communicator. Yeah, kinda. My computer was strong enough I do magic drawing streams myself. Yeah, that's true. Alright. Let me check my inventory, make sure that we haven't gotten extra Geyer parts. Yup, okay. Neuros. Alright. Let's go! Elden Ring Pico Synthesis Challenge. I'm very interested in early church history and not interested in Christian apologetics, so your work is super fascinating and fun, and I appreciate it. Good! That's one of the things that I've learned about, like, just kind of like being an esotericist, is like, there really is something for everyone. Like, I have a lot of friends that are like pro fucking Tekken ass gamers and shit, like that level of gaming. And eventually, if you ramble at them long enough about Western esotericism, they will find something that they enjoy. Feels so weird to see an actual human guy in Warframe. There's plenty of them. I eventually do need to craft Hildren. That'll require fucking grinding the Exploiter Orb. I would want to do that with like a full party. That's definitely something that is annoying to solo, because it just takes a long time. Explaining Gnosticism in Tekken terms. Okay, for the longest time, I've been wanting to, okay, my younger brother is, like, really into Tekken and stuff. And for the longest time, I've been wanting to play Tekken. And I've been thinking of, like, because there's a bunch of Tekken players on Tumblr. I think it would be really fun to, like, you teach me how to play Tekken and I'll teach you about, like, occult history. Because I am not good at fighting games, but I want to, like, get better at them.
Job done. On to the next.
Does P-Jack count as a Tekken player? Well, P-Jack's author does play Tekken. I think it would be really fun to get, like, Dima Smoke Queen to teach me how to play fucking Tekken or something. Does FD play Tekken? You know P-Jack's author? Yeah. At a certain point, you gotta remember that, like, if you're on Tumblr long enough, you kind of know everyone. I am not P-Jack, okay? I'm not that funny.
Nearly done. Keep defending, please.
Oh, okay. Good for FD. No, my only real, like, exposure to fighting games has been, like, I got into Melee during a lull, and I wasn't very good at it. Yeah, Tumblr, PJAX author is like not online very much. Melee is nuts. It's also like, from what my brother has told me, it is very much not a good fighting game. And basically every fighting game pervert I know says, like, if you're looking to get into, like, real-ass fighting games, Tekken is, like, just the best. And I trust that.
Okay, scrubbing the system.
Complex opinions on Melee. I've heard that. It's definitely, like, Melee is fun to watch. I think that's part of why it became so popular as, like, a Twitch sport, is it's really, really fun to watch. Everyone is trying to pill me on Guilty Gear. I've always thought Soul Calibur looked a little fun.
Nearly done. Keep defending.
Tekken is kind of its own thing to a degree, though. Yeah. You know, the only 3D fighter I've ever played was actually a Naruto fighting game. I don't even know what it was called, but it was the only 3D fighter I ever played.
Systems are waking up across a whole sector. I'll send some cleaning drones in and get it ready for use. You did good.
I don't need any more Void Gel. I want Geyer. I'm 9 million Inaro focus. I have a I use fucking Cedo and Cedo Prime for everything, and they have a Unaro like thing on it. I just like never upgrade myself.
I share this eternity with every person I ever sentenced to be.
Are you gonna go into Virgil at all? Probably not. Like, I think in the grand scheme of things, Virgil isn't like crazy important for the grand scheme of Western esotericism. I know that like might seem weird to say. The entire thing about him basically being considered a magician in the Middle Ages. People say a lot of things. It's like the magical literature attributed to him just wasn't all that influential. I know there was some, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. Doesn't mean that it's not important, just means I can't remember it. Oh, this is the one where I have to find a Zeraman accolade. I don't want to do this. Hi. The Aeneid is big important. It's like the Roman Homer. Yeah, but like in the grand scheme of things, like I'm probably not gonna mention Homer all that much in the book. I'm probably gonna mention that Homer was important for like Greco-Roman magic, but I'm probably not gonna like go super deeply into that, because like if the goal of the book is to like direct people towards better sources, like direct people towards more accessible scholarship and like prepare them for it, it's pretty easy to just go like, hey, like Homer was important, go read the Iliad and the Odyssey. There's a ton of great accessible scholarship on the Iliad and the Odyssey, and a lot of Americans are like Westerners in general are generally familiar with it. They know that one of them involves a boat, one of them involves a Trojan horse. How was I supposed to know you were a streamer and not just a Tumblr personality? Well, in your defense, this is a very new thing. I stream with some of my friends sometimes, but have only started streaming myself fairly recently. This has happened to me 3 times. People just don't, like, know anything on the internet. Like, I still have people who are like, you're the same C.T. Kelly from Desperate Acts of Capitalism? As if there's, like, a million people named C.T. Kelly on the internet that have podcasts that they promote on Tumblr. Hello? Hello? You guys saw that, right? I got fucking teleported. El Duende. A haunted. Do you have a favorite Iliad translation? Not really. Like, people ask me a lot for, like, do I have a favorite translation on stuff? And it's like, I have the version that I read. I haven't, like, read multiple translations. It's very rare that I get enough into the scholarship on something that I'm reading multiple translations of it and have an opinion on the translations that is, like, worth listening to. I do like this. Whenever a side-by-side version is available, that is generally what I like to do. But I don't really have opinions on, like, individual publishers and whatnot. Zeramin is more haunted than normal. Yup. Wow, 15 Thrax Plasm! Golly, mister. Hi, Quinn.
Twice. First, to a gallant suitor. Then to her father's ghost.
Okay. Don't spend all that plasma in one place now, even though I've already crafted, like, Perigale and whatever the Warframe is associated with it.
Keeping our home in order means having control of the ship's systems. Right now, we don't have that. You're gonna have to go in with a data mass and manually bring consoles back online.
Who invented NoFap? That makes me wonder, who was the first Western seaman retainer? It was probably an ancient Greek guy, right? It had to be one of those, like, 'cause there's a million versions of, like, ancient Greek, like, itinerant anchorite prophets, like those dudes that hung out on pillars and the dudes that hung out on, like, in caves and whatnot. There has to be at least one Greek guy who was, like, doctrinally committed to NoFap. There has to be an actual answer to that question, right? Yes, the Cynics were NoFap. But were they the first NoFappers? Were they the first Occidental NoFappers, though? Jerking off was discovered in 1849 by James Hogg Cranker when he tried to pee twice at once. Oh, they were pro-fap. Okay. I just believed you implicitly. Yeah, Riley knows what they're talking about. It's probably fine. I can read. Some guy gave a talk on NoFap in one of my computer science classes. He presented an anti-jerking off web app where you press a button and it gives you a motivational quote so you don't jerk off. That's amazing. You know that dude went home and he was like, you know what? You know what, Jerry? You did good today. You've improved the world just a little bit. Was it his app? Did he, like, make the app? Because if it was him promoting his anti-jerking off app, like, you know some crazy shit was happening in his brain. That dude was fighting a spiritual war every time he saw a dude with wide hips. That dude was literally that one post that's like, dudes will be grappling with demons and the demons will be bisexuality. I need you to design an app. I don't know why I'm doing the Winston voice for this. Excuse me for jerking off. Alright, that's easy. Whatever. -2. I'm -2ing myself. I can do better than that. Winston would not be no-fap. He's a kind boy. Winston would have a very healthy attitude towards his sexuality. This will protect us. Okay, okay, okay. -2 again. -2 again. Like, if you're already jerking off and you're like ashamed enough about it that you feel the need to get an app, is a quote really gonna, is like a quote from an alpha Instagram really gonna keep you from cranking that thing? Riley, I'm trying to unban all of your jerking off quotes as fast as possible. I'm trying to play Warframe at the same time, so... Jamie isn't here to allow all the jerking off terms, so I have to do it myself. Like, virgin goddesses and cults and Orphics and Pythagoreans were more or less anti-sex, but we don't know if they developed taboos against wanking. Right. Or the spilling of seeds specifically. That's the... Seems to be a common theme with a lot of, like, semen wizard types, is that it's like, they treat semen itself as like a magical substance, and so the act of retaining it in your body has like physiological magical effects on you in some way. See, I think for a lot of nofap guys, it's not really... I don't think it's a metastasized kink. I think that's giving it a little bit too much credit. I think a lot of it just comes out of shame. Like, I think it's the same attitude that makes people think that, like, porn addiction is real. In the sense where it's like, no, they've done studies about this, and the one thing that actually does correlate to the concept of porn addiction is, like, people being ashamed of their own sexuality. Is, like, that is actually what causes the most distress about it. Women recognize my power and they seek my life essence. Exactly. Like, it's almost like a triumph of the will type thing with a lot of, like, semen retention stuff. Huanjing Bunao seems to be really old, but that's Chinese, so I don't know who did it in the Western world. That was all... See, that's why I added the caveat of Western, because, like, with a lot of magical stuff, there's almost always, like, a Chinese dude who invented it, like, a century before everyone else. I got indirectly called porn addicted on a lyrics website for going, hey, this song with lines about love rockets is kind of about facials. Yeah. It's like being ashamed about sexuality deranges you way more than being horny. Like, significantly more. Like, Northernline put it well when it's like the Jordan Peterson thing where lost young men will try to control one specific thing to feel in control of. Yeah, no, literally. It's the fucking... it's why Jordan Peterson's like self-help shit is like actually good, because yeah, cleaning your room does actually help, and it has like a physiological effect on how you experience the world.
Trust you'll get it done.
And then it gets tied up with like magic and morality and like weird metaphysics, and you get dudes like John Harvey Kellogg who are like, I don't even like, whatever was up with John Harvey Kellogg, it was like some new shit, you know? I truly don't think there was another, I truly don't think there's ever been somebody quite as like weirdly anti-sex in the specific way that John Harvey Kellogg was. There have been like religiously motivated nofap wizards before, but not in the same way that he was doing it.
Okay, scrubbing the system.
Not even the witch's hammer guy. No, it's like there were dudes who were like worse about it, maybe like more intense about it, but no one was doing it in quite the same way as John. Like John Harvey Kellogg was doing it in like a principled way that a lot of other people weren't doing it. And that's part of why I find him so interesting. Is like he was developing whole theories of anatomy to explain his nofap shit. Not just like bringing back like Galen and stuff. He was like developing new theories of the body to explain his nofap things. He had like 30 adopted kids and claimed that he never consummated his marriage. Like that's kind of crazy. We're talking generally nofap or alternatively nofap for a specific time period as a metaphysical tool. Kind of both, because there's a lot of overlap, right? Learning ancient Greek so you can read Galen's book about semen. Hasn't it been translated, though?
System's clean. Great work.
I mean, nothing wrong with reading Galen's original words, but, like, it's been translated, ain't it? Dudes will do anything but admit they're asexual. Like, literally, like, this is what happens when your society doesn't have terminology for asexuality. You know? Like, because then you start having to develop your own theories about what's happening. It's not just, like, an easy descriptor for, like, a way that you interact with sexuality. You start having to, like, involve ghosts in it. You know?
Okay, scrubbing the system.
Most of Galen remains untranslated. That's fucking crazy. He's like real important. Sex repulsed asexual who can't be normal about it because you don't know what's going on. Literally, like you literally cannot be normal in like the anthropological sense of the term, of like you literally have no normative framework for what is happening to you, so you have to invent one. Don't get me started on Paracelsus. Yeah, Paracelsus was on like 8 different levels of this shit. Well, because Paracelsus also low-key thought he was a prophet. He had that like John Dee thing where he's like, no, I'm never gonna say I'm a prophet, but I'm just gonna heavily imply it in all of my theological writing. Paracelsus is in Guilty Gear. No, a guy named Paracelsus is in Guilty Gear. It's not actually our Paracelsus. He is fascinating.
Job done. On to the next.
Was Paracelsus horned up? He had like... How the fuck do you describe that? Horned up is certainly one way to put it, I'll say.
Okay, scrubbing the system.
I don't know. It's always interesting how magic interacts with like the physiological experience of having a body. Because the more you read about like Greco-Roman magic, the more you like the most constant theme really is the pharmakeia, like this like plant work stuff. And the more you read about it, the more it's like, well, there had to be somebody who was making the, like, psychoactive wheat drink that people were drinking in Eleusis.
Nearly done. Keep defending, please.
It's like, even that is, like, as... like, just inducing some sort of physical sensation, be it, like, sexual or psychosomatic or psychoactive or whatever. Like, having something happen to you that you can't really explain or that you don't really have the words to explain is... like, that is the realm of magic. Almost in, like, a Baudrillard sense, where it's, like, the semantic toolkit that you have kind of has to be magical in the way where it, like, you have to start dealing with translations and explanations for things that you don't really have words for. Euripides' mom was a root cutter, Pharmaca, and he wrote a play about the herb gathering and drug chemist women. That's fucking cool. I see why you suggested that to me. That's exactly my speed. The thing about being a really good bullshitter is that eventually you bullshit something and not even realize it's revolutionary. No, it's more like, it's less bullshit and more just like reaching for something that you can't grasp. Like, trying to describe the shape of something that you've never seen before and don't have words for. Like, it's not an inherently magical thing to do, but it's one of those things where you can only do it so long without knocking your elbows on magic, right? Because in terms of, like, people in Western society who have words for describing things that are ineffable, yeah, it's fucking occultists. You should read some Baudrillard? Yeah, you should. I like Baudrillard.
Go and visit hell upon them.
Talking about, like, con men and coming up with incredible stuff. Yup. I mean, that is, like, definitely part of all of this. Yeah, like trying to describe the whole elephant. Exactly. Where should I start with Baudrillard? I don't know. I'm an occultist, not a philosopher. I've read like one Baudrillard book.
That means getting back.
Yeah, the fake Ecclesiastes quote.
That little data mask will scrub a whole sector clean if you can get it to the right port.
That is a straight ledge moment.
All in sight. You know what to do.
Honestly, just dive in. Yeah, it's like Baudrillard's not that hard. How do you start anywhere in Western esotericism? Do I just wait for your book? That is, yeah, Beefy Slap, that is literally the question I get most commonly on my blog, to the point where I'm like, there really isn't a good place to start. Because, like, all the books are either, like, outdated or by cranks or are, like, so scholarly they're inaccessible to the average person. So I'm, like, just trying to write that book. If you want, you can, like, read my drafts on Patreon, but they might be a little less readable than you're really excited for.
Nearly done. Keep defending, please.
Sorry, I'm chewing. I'm thinking.
System's clean. Great work. Keep moving.
Now, Riley, why are you saying the Gulf War didn't take place? I subbed to your Patreon purely because the teaser gave me of your scathing review of Ben Shapiro's writing entranced me and I had to read it. Haven't regretted subbing. Aw. That was such a fascinating one-off project. I tried to, like, sequelize myself and, like, review other weird conservative books, but they just didn't hit the same.
Okay. Scrubbing the system.
Oh, it's the title of a Baudrillard essay. I did not know that. I thought you were just making a statement. Like I said, I've only read a little bit of Baudrillard. That's a very funny title for an essay.
Nearly done. Keep defending, please.
And clickbaited by your college professor. Yeah.
This system's back
That should be our raid message. The Gulf War did not take place. Yeah, that could be fun. Man, I am so close to having a full first draft. It really is nerve-wracking. Because I know it's not going to be good, and I know that, like, the next couple months of the editing process are going to be, like, a huge pain in the ass. But it just needs to happen. It just needs to happen now. And I bet by the time I'm done with it, it's going to look like a completely different book, and I'm going to be a lot more happy with it. But I am dreading, like, having to go over everything I've written so far and, like, stitch it together. Where are you going to end the book? I don't... Probably with the New Age.
nearly done. Keep defending, please.
There's a lot of places that I could end it, but that seems like a good place to leave people off. I'm not entirely sure. It's a good... Knowing where a story ends is the kind of thing that, like... I'll know it when I see it. You know? The Keck cult shit? That's too niche.
Sector. I'll send some cleaning drones in and get it ready for use. You did good.
Mostly just been enjoying reading about funny little guys in the Ars Goetia, which I admit isn't that hardcore scholarly research, but, well, no. That's still research, right? Maybe it's not hardcore, but that's... Hey, we got the chassis. All right, dope. Now we just need systems.
Let all the systems
No. Well, it's like QAnon is really just an extension of the New Age, honestly, and like conspiracism, but that's not really what the book is about, you know? Sure, fuck it. Let's go fight a Void Angel. Let's see how bad this grind is. Etsy witches. QAnon just feels so pedestrian. I find it interesting. It's just not what I'm writing a book about. I will mention chaos magic, I think.
the enemy has triggered the release of a possessed
But chaos magic is also like... There's a lot less there than people think, I imagine. Like it's basically just like a set of ideas of like doing eclecticism on purpose. And then there's like a couple people who contributed to them. And like a lot of chaos magic writing is so like
Deal with it while you still can.
simple. Like I think it's less... It's a lot less meaty than I think a lot of people expect. Like, literally, it's like, when I was looking into, like, okay, who are all the big, like, serious Chaos Magician authors? It's, like, literally just Phil Hine wrote a book that has, like, everything in it. Like, just read through Phil Hine, which you can probably do in an afternoon, and you're up to date on Chaos Magic.
Keep those manifestations.
Chaos Magic is a good way to cut your teeth, but there's not a lot there. Yeah. It really is it. Like, I would struggle to write an entire page on chaos magic. And it would probably just be like, this is what it is. Phil Hine has like literally everything about it. Phil Hine is good and scholarly, and he's a good writer too. Like, he's fun to read. He has like a sense of clarity, coherence, voice. Like, he's funny in a way that doesn't detract from it. He's clearly very knowledgeable, speaks confidently about his topic, like an exemplary, like, science communicator type. Chaos magic is continuing from spare, but you're using a more narrow definition. No. Even with spare, like, even talking about like Austin Osman Spare and his contributions to chaos magic, there isn't much beyond just talking about like, here's Osman Spare, here are some of his ideas. The chaos magicians kind of took this and ran with it.
Exolizer suppressed. Purge it before it makes the contamination worse.
Hina's a Shakta now? That makes sense.
Spent Exolizer.
The that's part of the chaos magic thing, is they all yearn for structure. Gotcha, fam.
Exolizer spent.
You ever plan for a physical release of Amber Skies or Emerald Seas? Eventually, when they're edited and done, published. I don't know. Read on Spare, he sounds like he was a big influence on Cultist Simulator. Whoever the fuck was writing Cultist Simulator is like a very well-studied occultist. Like an impressively well-studied occultist.
Abandoned valuable supplies. This is yours now.
Like, I don't... It's hard to say that Cultist Simulator had any one big influence.
We're down an Exolizer. Working on backups. Void contamination critical. Do these invaders have any idea what demons they have invoked upon us all? Contamination levels going in the wrong
Please, I just want to extract. Please. Sorry. Gotta schmoove. Okay, we're good. Whew.
Exolizer suppressed. Purge it before it makes the contamination
Literary
worse.
influences of CS on the modernist, like, okay. Oh yeah, apparently there's like allegations against that person, but whatever. They're like, Cultist Simulator's authors have clearly studied occultism. How would you feel about me typesetting Binding Amber Skies? Think I could make a fun project? Yeah, go ahead. You're just not allowed to sell it. That's really it. Like, go nuts.
Gate is approaching critical levels. Your time is running out. Contamination spreading.
They don't really talk about the occult influences. Just kind of literary ones. Red Pact or Pale? No, I haven't. People have mentioned that a couple times. I generally don't really trust, like, suggestions that people give me on Tumblr, because, like, last time someone suggested I read a web novel, it was fucking, what is it called?
Shine that light of yours over
Unsong. Yeah, I started reading Unsong, and I was like, this fucking sucks, kinda. Like,
doing so much.
I was, like, a lot of people were talking up Unsong, and I was very unimpressed with it. But I also have, like, high standards for people, like, trying to incorporate Kabbalistic themes into a web novel. I'm maybe a pretty high bar for that, so... Someone generally unfamiliar, why do Chaos Magicians glom onto structure, as you said? Well, Chaos Magic is more of like, it's like a syncretic movement. And it's basically a framework for building things out of random bits of theology and mythology that you find. And the thing with building is that eventually it has to stand on its own. And so the more you get into chaos magic, eventually you just like want to join an actual magical society. Which isn't like bad, it's just like a thing that people do. It's fine.
Roger that. We're all trusting in you. When the time comes to confront what waits beyond, we will stand with you. Just
Yeah,
as
the
you stood with
DKMU
us.
and the IoT are both explicitly Chaos Magician orders. They're also pretty niche, though, especially like the DKMU. The cat noise you keep hearing is my Kavat in game. It is not. It's not Mechtel. She's sleepy. Magic is niche. Well, yeah, but I'm writing a book about it. I've only got so many pages. Okay, yeah, this is where we get systems.
Who this airman belongs to.
It's Kavat is what my... This is Chef. This is my Kavat. Chef. 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 You know, Zaku would probably be pretty good for grinding this out. Does Zaku's, like, void damage buff work on the enemies here?
And make it work for us. Those void nightmares are hell-bent on one thing. Manifesting more nightmares.
I like Kill 6 Billion Demons. I think that one's dope. Oh, Zaku's void damage buff doesn't work? Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. The Zoskaya cultist shit is pretty cool.
Was a dormant void angel. Now it's not dormant anymore.
Zaku in Old Persian. Cool. Let's go.
Exilizer under assault.
Where does the word wizard come from? I believe it's derived from a Frisian word for wise man. It literally just means like wiselet or wiseoid.
Spent Exilizer has been retired.
Angel's trying to retreat into the void so it can heal. Follow it and stop it.
Carol is getting it through Grant in the Typhonian Order, I promise.
Exilizer spent.
What's your Kavat called? Chef. 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 Ah, there you are.
Our enemy has abandoned valuable supplies. This is yours now.
Also familiar with the SCP stuff. I mean, I was like 10 years ago. I haven't really kept up with the SCP stuff. I know they're like really high now.
We have no idea what it could manifest.
Angel is almost recovered.
They're on like the 4000s, aren't they?
You can't hurt it while those dimensional orbs are around. Use your void body to absorb it.
Oh, they're in the 8,000s? What? That's crazy. Oh, hi, Stalker. How long have you been here?
Cascade intensified.
How many other Twitch chats are, like, writing shit in Old Persian? You guys are a fun chat. I always look forward to interacting with you guys, just seeing what weird shit you say in my chat.
Cascade is approaching critical levels. Your time is running out.
It's gone long form and more narrative? Boo! That's fucking cringe. Why? Why would they do that? Literally the exact, like, thing that made the universe interesting in the first place was its weird formatting. Who thought that was a good idea? That's so stupid.
The void cascade has surpassed the tipping point.
Chef.
Lethal now. Leave the area while you still can.
Yeah, literally the main, like, appeal of it was the interesting format of the, like, government document dossier type shit.
Get it back.
Writing just, like, a normal story about it is, like, defeating the purpose. Like, it's lazy. No. Like, don't write a long-form narrative story. Write a fucking dossier. Some of the document-style articles were super long. Yeah, but it's still fine, like, as long as they're document-style. Read about one of the Supreme Court being wizards that handled telling the narrative as a debrief documents. Ah. Gestures and yells nuance as loud as possible. Yeah.
Favorite neighbor.
Many such cases, unfortunately.
Excellent.
I do like the SCPs that are like, there's a weird guy. Like, there's that one where it's like an arm coming out of a drain pipe, and radiometry says that it extends like 18 miles into the center of the Earth, or some shit. It's like just a physically impossible human arm with like regular elbows terminating at like every 2 feet or something.
Backups.
I love the ones where it's just like, it's not really... I do like the blood getter. You know, there's the blood getter and he's going to get your blood. That's fine and dandy, but I like the ones where it's like, what if there was a weird guy?
Equalizer has been retired.
What if a thing was in a place that it shouldn't be and science couldn't really explain why it was there and why it was able to be there? I kind of miss classic No Sleep. No, you don't. You think that, but you don't actually. You're nostalgizing you're nostalgizing a subreddit that has always kind of been dog shit. You're nostalgizing. The thing that you actually miss is being 14 and reading The Rake on a Scary Videos YouTube channel. Come on, you remember that time. You remember, like, you'd find, like, a YouTube channel, and it was a guy named, like Spookers McGee or some shit.
Valuable supplies.
And he would read into the mic like this for, like, 4 hours.
Contamination just spiked. Keep your wits about you. Exolizer spent. This cascade is growing out of control.
Right, yeah. To be fair, 10 minutes, because that was the YouTube meta back then, was finding short stories to read.
Working on backups.
I liked Barasha when it first came out, and then I read it again, and I was like,
Cascade is approaching.
actually, no, I don't like this anymore. It's actually kind of cheap. Oh my, yeah, no, half of those channels have turned into, like, a strange video was found of a woman having a panic attack in public. Let's make a video of her and put a fake film grain on the footage and imply that maybe a ghost is doing it. It's like actually despicable behavior. Ronald Reagan cut up while talking is awesome. Fuck you if you don't like that.
To the second chance. I perceive two void silhouettes within you. Do you wonder which is the real one? Trusting you'll get it done.
Soon we will have enough for Gyre. Now here we go again. The SCP that's evil Santa that uses kidnapped children as elves to make bone toys. I love those SCPs, man. Those are so fucking funny. There's all these people who are like, I miss when SCP was good, as if, like, the first 100 SCPs didn't contain, like, literally half of them were like, what if there was a bone man who made bone evils? What if there was an anime badass who had swords made of shadows, and he could get you through walls and had an invulnerable shield, and you could never tag him in a game of tag? No, all the dog shit SCPs are like half the fun. Like, the SCP shit would not be the same if there wasn't, for every, like, anesthesia, there wasn't another, like, scary blood man. Yeah, or at least one SCP that's like, this might be the Archangel Uriel, which could be scary and religious if you think about it.
This cascade is growing out of control. Any nearby attackers will
The Old Man in the Walls is great. That's a foundational SCP. That's because that's where we got the Femur Breaker. One of the funniest, but also, like, tonally appropriate world-building elements I've ever seen. Like, people make fun of it as if it's not, like, legitimately a great addition to the world. I really, really like it when SCPs turn into, like, ridiculous trolley problems.
Exilizer spent.
Went through the first 1,000 SCPs a few years ago, and most of them were mid. For every giant crocodile god and screaming pink man, there were 20 plus creepy guys. I like the IKEA one. I know that's, like, a bit of a controversial take, but the IKEA one is fun. It's not just the concept or the execution, it's all the, like, little details that the IKEA one has. Like, the idea that it's connected to IKEAs from other timelines is really interesting. It's the little details like that that really make an SCP article shine for me.
Down an Exilizer. Working on backups.
One of my favorite SCP articles is the list of non-harmful anomalous artifacts, where it's just like a really, really long list of things that don't really require containment besides just being in a facility. Like, it's like a handful of 8 slugs that instead of leaving a snail trail, they leave a fucking, like, ranch dressing or some shit. Like, I love things like that. I don't find myself reading fiction unless it relates to shit I care about or is really well done. Like, who gives a shit? This is fake. Extremely funny thing for you to say, Riley. I don't care about any of this fake bullshit anyway, joins the Golden Dawn. I do kind of get it, though. There's a lot of stuff, like, I get a lot of questions on Tumblr that's like, what do you think of the magic system in this, like webcomic? I'm like, I don't really care, man. Like, at a certain point, it's just fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about how the Star Wars spaceships wouldn't really fly like that. It's like, no one really cares. We're here for fun space battles. I'm not here for accurate spaceships.
Readings are off the charts. I don't know what sort of nightmares you might encounter. Spent Exilizer has been retired.
I feel so sorry for you having to handle 80,000 of those questions. Luckily, I've turned off Anon recently, which has helped with a lot of, like, just the clutter in my inbox. But also, for the last, like, 2 days, like, I've been getting a ton of notifications that people are sending me, like, messages in my inbox, and then I would check it, and nothing has changed. So I actually cleared my inbox earlier today. Like, I got rid of, like, 32,000 Anons or some shit. Yeah, it's like, I want to answer, like, I try to answer some of them if it's, like, something I'm familiar with and something that has, like, clear and interesting occult historical roots that I am familiar with. But most of the time it's like, yeah, the magic in this anime is just, like, it's just, like, fucking video game magic. Like, it doesn't really mean much of anything. It's not, like, terribly interesting because it's not like about the magic. It's just like it serves the narrative, and that's fine. That's exactly what it needs to be. I'm not looking for like interesting, evocative theological complexity in a fucking Netflix produced anime. You have 2,500 asks and you'll never read them? Exactly. This is the way. Yeah, Tumblr notifications are kind of permanently busted, but also, like, people sending me asks is, like, an important part of my Tumblr presence, so I want it to work a little bit. Sometimes I get, like, 100 asks a day, and sometimes I get, like, 2. It just depends on, like, whatever's happening.
Contamination levels going in the wrong direction.
Yike.
It won't be shrugging that off.
Extract yourself when you need to.
Yay, extraction. Okay. Okay. Now I have to leave. Please extract, I'm gonna die! Please! Yay! Okay. Your inbox has got to be a collection of insane esoteric beliefs. Yeah, I get a lot, like... I get a lot of asks that are, like... like, I don't want to make fun of anyone who, like, legitimately wants to know something about religion, but I get a lot of, like... You can't talk like that, white baby, asks. I got one the other day. I don't really want to repeat it, but it's just like... Sometimes I'll get an ask, and I'm just like, literally, what were you thinking when you wrote this? Like, do not say that in public. Like, in what sense? Like, people making, like, okay, it's like, I get a lot of shit that's like, a person who learned about Islam from a Tumblr post, like, trying to make a joke, or like, you know what it is? It's like, yeah, Solomonic magic is cultural appropriation type stuff, but like, even one notch further, where it's like, person who learned about Judaism from Tumblr posts about Judaism, trying to make a joke about Judaism in my inbox as if I'm like endorsing it. And that sometimes a lot of it is like, you don't say that, white baby, please. It's like, you don't even know what you're saying, white baby. There's a lot of that stuff, but I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to be the person to like, I don't want to be the person who has to deal with that, you know? I don't want to be the wokeness officer for Magic Tumblr. Keep stressing about this because, like, I recently discovered that I have at least once sent a Tumblr ask from my phone while asleep, like sleepwalking and sleep posting instead. It's like, it's rare that I actually remember someone for being annoying, and if I do, I just block them. Yeah, I mean, it's not my responsibility to deal with the poorly educated Tumblr wizards, but it's also like I don't want to be the arbiter of what it means to be woke, you know? Do the white babies ever manage to be funny even on accident? I mean, yeah, like, there's a lot of shit where I'm like, I see what you're going for, and what you're saying is like, is clearly a well-formed joke, but it's very anti-Semitic in a way that you clearly don't recognize. And I just like, you can't say that, man. A lot of it is like literally just gibberish. It's like people trying to make jokes about religious stuff that they heard about like in general, and they don't really understand what the words mean, and they're just kind of throwing it into whatever a popular meme format is, and it's just like, all right, buddy. All right. Yeah, get it out of your system. Let's see. Well, we've got a lot of gyre parts. Is there anything I need to do at the moment? You know what? Let's check my... Because we've been live for a couple hours. Let's check my forge. Oh, Ivara. Okay. We can level Ivara. I have Ivara Prime, so I'm probably just going to, like, immediately feed her to the dog mouth. To a cod. Anti-Semitic in a way you don't even understand. Whenever somebody makes lizard people jokes, and it's not just like lizard people jokes. It's like I've seen some lizard people jokes that are clearly like not referencing Judaism or like engaging in anti-Semitic tropes beyond the idea of like, what if there were lizard aliens? Like, there's shit like people making jokes about like. People making jokes about conspiracy, like actually about conspiracy theories, that it's like, no, you do not have enough like tact to say this as a joke, white baby. That type of thing. I do like the solar system UI in this game. Yeah, it's cute. okay, it's not just the lizard people are, like, funny as a concept. It's that, like, there are real people in the real world that, like, vote who actually believe in lizard people. Like, it's terrible, but that's also an inherently funny thing to exist in the world. Is like a person who thinks that, like, Joe Biden can peel off his skin and has, like, a forked tongue and stuff. Like, it's very racist, but it's also objectively funny. Are Jewish people white baby? Impossible to say. Yeah, this reference to blood libel is not as funny as you think it is. There's so much of that shit in my inbox, especially if I'm like... So I try to answer questions about conspiracy lore in a way that, like, doesn't make light about it, but also, like, recognizes that, like, what these people believe is objectively ridiculous and funny. Like, that's an important line to walk, of, like... 'cause you can't talk about it of, like, no, this person believes that, like, Jewish people are lizard aliens, and that's a very serious thing that you're not allowed to laugh at. Like, no, it's ridiculous, but this is, like, a thing that causes real harm in the real world. And it's important to understand both aspects of that.
Opportunity to extract will appear soon.
Like, the problem with that is that it requires, like, a more comprehensive knowledge of, like, both conspiracy lore and, like, anti-Semitic and, like anti-Semitic tropes, which is not something that most people really have. And so you have to be careful even making, like, you gotta be careful even making good jokes about it, because you can't really control for how the audience is gonna, like, assume their own knowledge of the subject. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, like, reading a lot about, like, why is your robot thick? Oh, welcome to Warframe, my friend. All of the robots are thick. Even the male robots have, like, thick, juicy asses in this game. But it's like, I don't know, reading a lot of conspiracy lore and stuff, and, like, it's really soured a lot of, like, fantasy world building shit for me. I have so much, maybe more scorn than I reasonably should have for stories that are like a group of plucky found family queers who are basically just the Ubermensch, like, defeat the god of racism type stories. It's something you see in JRPGs sometimes, and a lot of, like, modern podcasts, where it's like, yeah, okay, it's like a cool gay found family, but, like, what, they don't, yeah, they have special superpowers that make them, like, better than other people, and yeah, I know that you're saying, logically, that it's, like, a tragic thing to have, and it's, like, a metaphor for disability or something, but they're also kinda Ubermensch. That shit annoys me. Like, a lot of people don't really think through the implications of their own world building, and especially if there's, like, evil superpowered gay teens who are competing for control over the normies, and it's like, don't do race war stuff with superpowers, man. Like, that's why X-Men doesn't work. Kinda, yeah. It's like, I think X-Men leans... A lot of X-Men stuff kind of leans more into the, like, this is a parallel for disability and progress. And it's, like, so... Like, it's so visibly, ham-handedly obvious what they are commenting on that it kind of dodges a lot of that.
Continue to defend.
But a lot of stuff does kind of engage with those tropes in a way that feels less than kosher, to use maybe a too obvious term. Yeah, if we listed all the stories that did this, we'd be here all day. But it's also been like encouraging me to think more about, like, okay, well, what is what actually would my response to something like this be? Yeah, modern fantasy is so ass. It's like, yeah, but, like, so is classical fantasy. It wasn't better. Brennan Lee Mulligan's strong female protagonist does it slightly good. Not to yuck anyone's yum, but I'm not listening to another D&D podcast. A lot of D&D podcasts are like the worst offenders of this, in my opinion. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people on Tumblr that are talking about, like, fucking... Everything with Brennan Lee Mulligan is a D&D podcast. I'm sorry. You don't get to worm your way out of that one. Even if it doesn't literally involve D&D, it spiritually involves D&D. Come on now. I wasn't born yesterday. I'm sure he's wonderful. I'm sure he's fine. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Picture of Thoth. King is a D&D podcast? Wise. Extremely wise. The Understander has logged on. No, a lot of, like, tabletop RPGs, I think, explicitly, like, almost implicitly lead themselves to Ubermensch mechanics because you're focusing on the adventures of, like, 5 or 6 people with superpowers who show up at your house every month to eat all your beer. And, like, that brings up... It raises the question of, like, well, if you're doing, like, mildly fascist ethics D&D podcasts, it brings up a very cursed concept of, what would a Marxist D&D podcast look like? And then I think you just... If anyone says they're trying to start a Marxist D&D podcast, you just need to hit that person with a hammer. They're gonna come up with maybe the most embarrassing thing ever put on Spotify. It's gonna be a Marxist podcast by somebody who's never read Marx, and it's gonna be deeply embarrassing. It's gonna miss so many points, and it's gonna become like the most annoying discourse generator that Tumblr has ever seen. It shouldn't be a thing that is allowed in the world. Not to say that I could do any better, right? My closest response that I have to this is my fucking hypnoeconomics series, and it's just because I'm, like, interested in mid-century economic theories and, like, psychoanalysis. It's a very oblique response to this, but it is a response nonetheless. I feel like you start ranting whenever you're on this map. It's because I don't need to schmoof. I need to stand in one place and shoot things. Marxist D&D podcast should have someone say something extremely transmisogynistic 5 minutes into the first episode. No, that would take a while, right? In the first episode, there would absolutely be some "are women bourgeoisie" ass type comments. It sucks because when I want a beautiful woman to whip me, I have to learn about D&D fantasy races and do homework for LARP. Yeah, you gotta memorize elves. It does kind of suck. But, you know, barrier of entry. It's that one post that's like, you guys are into emo chicks? You really want to hear, like, a 35-year-old woman day drink and talk about Invader Zim? It's like, yeah, dog, that's what I signed up for. Consult the elf chart, buddy. Bring me back to a COD. Let's go. Been consciously trying to branch out into other TTRPG systems. Gloss over race in these settings. Yeah.
The enemy is at our doorstep. You must defend our equipment until reinforcements arrive.
I don't know, we're getting there, but the type of people that make TRPGs are like... Even if they're really good at it, they're always the type of people that are, like, immersed in very niche internet drama that makes you kind of microwaved about specific stuff. And I say that as, like, a person who has been hired to write for a couple TTRPG podcasts. Or TTRPGs in general. Professional TTRPG nearly full-time, and I'm holding myself back from being annoying and filling the chat with. Thank you, Solren. I know that took restraint. I'm proud of you. Maybe slowly realize that the eldritch entities I have in my universe also kind of count as elves because of how they exist. That's whatever. That's another term I think is like thrown around way too much, is eldritch. Very few things are actually eldritch. You people should be reading Andrew Chumbly and the Freighter Akkad and Soronema instead of reading TTRPG rulebooks. That is true. It's not like, it's not gonna help if you say that. It is true though. You are correct. Yeah, get ready to learn Elvish, buddy. You're about to learn the difference between Sindarin and Quindarin, motherfucker. I don't know. It's very easy to rag on bad fantasy world building because it's like, the genre fiction is bad! Yeah, like, yeah, buddy, fork found in kitchen. A lot of TTRPG discussions are kind of like describing a dream to someone where it's like, I'm sure this was the most interesting thing in the world to you, but I wasn't there, and this is maybe one of the most painful social situations that you can put someone in, is like describing your elf to them at a party. It's like, oh, your elf was a horny bard, I see. Squidward voice daring today, aren't we? What TTRPG fantasy works well? The only one I found remotely compelling lately is Heart. I don't know, I don't really play games like that. The system I've played the most is Burning Wheel, and it's explicitly just for, like, making up your own shit.
Extraction is ready. Unless you can handle more of the enemy.
Ah, yeah, you can use Command Discord to join the Discord. Join in on discussions that happen off of this stream. You rolled a horny elf? Should we throw a party? Should we call Ed Greenwood? Exactly. But also, like, it's fine. I'm being a hater about it because it's like a prevalent thing that I'm forced to deal with because I'm friends with people that I love and they like playing games with me. Like, I don't actually, like, yes, I'm gonna make fun of people a little bit for running a horny night elf or a tiefling demon or something, but not enough that I'm not gonna show up when you invite me to D&D, you know? Important to make that point. Burning Wheel is amazing, but it's not easy to learn. Yeah, it's like intentionally bad, which is part of why I like it. Everything is cringe in different ways. Some things aren't cringe. You complain for a better world. Yeah, let's go with that. Yes, you are all being very restrained in chat today, and I appreciate it. You're all getting a gold star once we head back to the Discord. Can I make an unimportant point? I think pears are slept on as a fruit. I had a pear cider the other day, and it was very tasty. These two New York lesbians on top of... Oh, nope, chat's moving too fast. Whoops. Rock Lee dropping the weights to start talking about thalamic sex mechanics. Yeah. The cider being good, though, doesn't mean the fruit itself is good, though. That's logically true, but I also do think that pears are slept on as a fruit. I think pears are, like, better than people give them credit for. Very wise first chat, by the way, Lavender Corpse. Canned pears. Canned pears are quite good. I'm making a TTRPG podcast. Blocked. Sorry, Soul Run. Not going to read the rest of that message. Got your ass, motherfucker. L. I'm allowed to make fun of people that have TTRPG podcasts because I have a business and finance comedy podcast, which is like objectively more cringe. Hey, people in chat, did you know St. Augustine came up with an original sin after he stole a pear and immediately felt bad for it? That's true. Oh yeah, the Augustine Boner incident. That's a fun one. Yes, ET, but your business podcast is interesting and funny, unlike all the other cringe business podcasts out there, so it doesn't count. Ah. I'm willing to associate myself spiritually with the business podcast boy community. I don't necessarily want to think of myself as better than them. I think I want to demonstrate that I am better than them by having a successful comedy podcast. Okay, I hear it. Yeah, +2, +2. You got through 6 episodes yesterday, it rules? Well, thank you. The new stuff is so much better. Oh my god. The early days of that podcast were so, like us reading Wikipedia articles because we were in lockdown and desperate for any stimulation. Yes, yes, we made an official bingo card. Those are fun. Noah's episode art is so good. Like, Noah works way, way too hard on those. Also, if you have a podcast and you need an audio editor, fucking Noah's incredible. Please hire them. What was the Augustine Boner incident? He was at the baths with his dad, and he got like a random erection, and he felt bad about it, and his dad like pointed it out and made fun of him for it. Yeah, literally like nightmare scenario. Like, genuinely a terrible thing to happen. He was 16 at the time and thought about it decades later. I would too! That's a terrible thing to happen to a young man.
You choose to leave now or continue fighting. Keep fighting. Another opportunity to extract.
Give a man his flowers. That's an awful thing to happen to a young man. I would also be I'd feel terrible about that. Oh, I forgot about Ivara's teleport glaive. Yeah, it's literally a thing you never forget. Really enjoyed Business Desserts, enjoying how it becoming increasingly Marxist and postmodernist. It's not becoming increasingly Marxist, it's like... The addition of Armand was like injecting straight Marxism into that podcast. Armand has like met Noam Chomsky and shit. Karl Marx. Like, I'm generally a leftist sympathizer, but Armand has, like, actually read all the way through Capital. Oh, this is doing nothing. Okay. Wallbox. You guys still giving Augustine a hard time in chat? Ease up on the man. He had a hard time. He got a boner in the baths, and his dad talked about it. That's rough. Cool Morks. How we doing? Okay. Dads are an evil institution. Hi, Sparky Synth. Welcome to chat. You know, grow the podcast big enough so somebody can make Desperate Acts of Capitalism into a piece on us. Yeah, the rise and fall of Desperate Acts of Capitalism. Sparky Synth, I don't know if you just joined or not, but we're probably going to be wrapping up soon. As much fun as we're having. Unless chat gets really funny in the next, like, 10 minutes or something. The Desperate Acts of Capitalism situation is insane. I lurk, no worries. Come on, chat. I need something to play off of. I can't monologue forever. Quick, make jokes! Give CT setups! Pussy! Bleh! Get out of here, horny Dracula. Didn't St. Augustine say that Adam had complete control over his boners and that original sin was the cause of random boners? I wouldn't put it past him. Does Dracula fuck? Obviously Dracula fucks. You read Dracula? He's libidinal, dog. Dracula's libidinal as shit. All vampires are libidinal as shit. He went and got his wizard diploma from the devil, from the Bible. He's gotta have fucked. That's true. Contract. Yeah, he got that contract. He made Jonathan sign his contract. Solo practitioners generally know way less than they think they do. Yup, you have to be talking to other people. You gotta be constantly talking to other people, interacting with other people, like, discussing shit you already think you know. Very important. Sorry. Fuck, I'm getting hungry. Tractatus on that thing? That's nothing. Come on. How did you find the music for the start of the stream and intermission screen? Oh, it's the fucking Blasphemous 2 soundtrack. Or just the soundtrack from the Blasphemous games in general. Which I need to figure out, like, it shouldn't stop playing. I want it to continue playing after break is over, but it stops after like 20 minutes. I like Spanish guitar music. I especially like Arab-influenced Spanish guitar music. Doing magic with other people is just an endless series of, oh, I was doing this so wrong and it makes way more sense. Yeah, that's so true. Like, literally everyone you talk to is going to have some sort of insight to deepen your knowledge. Like, never assume that you know more than somebody else. More's yum! Oh, I'm so full of Al-Andalus. You should play Blasphemous on stream. That'd be fun. I'd have to study up on my Spanish Catholicism. I wish I was full of Al-Andalus. Yup. We love Al-Andalus, don't we, chat?
Unless you can handle more of the enemy.
Joey Jojo, I don't know what that is.
We'll take over from here. Time to evacuate.
Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and enemies, it's about that time. Thank you all so much for joining. But I think it's about time for us to wrap up. And hey, before you go, I'm only able to do stuff like this because of your generous support on Patreon. Absolutely no pressure, but if you want to throw me $1 or $2 a month, I would really, really appreciate it. Let's see, who's live? Oh, Mabel's live. What was our fucking raid message earlier? It was, the Gulf War did not happen. The Gulf War did not take place. All right, go hang out with it. Go hang out with Mabel. I'm sending you over there. Bye. And to the VOD watchers, hi.